right, it looks like we are at 6:30. Welcome everybody to Speak on It. We are at 3:15 March already, and we're halfway through it. So tonight you only see myself and Bill for now, but David will be hopping on shortly, and we will tell you why when he hops out or when I give my announcements. And then Miss Irene will be also jumping on and joining us as soon as possible, hopefully. She had some stuff to tend to that was personal, and so we obviously totally understand. And so let's see. So I'll just kind of jump right into it. Different background because we are actually down in LA. David and myself have been participating in the LA Fed Organizing Institute. And these next 2 weeks are focused on actually building membership and getting out into both the work sites, doing home visits, and doing phone banking. And so today was day 2 of these 2 weeks, right? We went through a training about a weekish and a half ago. I think I reported that on the last Truth Talk. And so I just kind of wanted to report that we had some really awesome conversations today with members from our Ronald Reagan building downtown. Got to talk to all of the different, not all of them, but the different bargaining units in the buildings. Got to hear about all the issues that were happening, as well as David and I were on different teams, but we were on home visits today. So we did flyering in the morning and home visits, and we got to talk to some pretty awesome SCIF members who obviously, right, are teleworking, and also some FTB members. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the week. I know David is too. And if he was on here, that's actually why he is late right now, because I'm sure as everybody who is used to LA traffic knows that it's awful, right? 15 minutes takes you like an hour. So anyway, Mr. Dave, thank you for joining us. I was just explaining why you were late, right? We had a debrief that actually I had to leave from too. So, yeah. it was very, very productive. And, we have a handful of members who are down here doing the work with us. I just wanted to highlight that this work is the necessary work that we need to do and focus on in our DLCs, right? I know that there's a lot of other stuff going on, and this call will get to a lot of that, but the important work is in the DLCs building membership. And that's where we need to really, really focus. And so we are planning on doing that, and we're working towards that already, and hopefully more to come with some actual, so that you guys could get a better kind of sense of what those things will be actually, right? And how they will move throughout the state. So more to come on that, guys. And there's Miss Irene, yay! There we are. All right, so that's kind of perfect. I didn't have very many other announcements. David, did you want to say something about today or highlight anything? I know I'm kind of, but
yeah, no, that's cool. I just don't know what you shared, but I guess I hope this isn't redundant. But I just wanted to report out that it is a great training what we've received, and now that we're implementing it this week, we see what works and what needs to be tinkered with, I guess. But the overall idea of touching folks, no matter where they're at, whether it be their work site, which is, I think our common way of thinking, but obviously through this new training or through this training with the LA Fed, it could also be house visits. Members are teleworking. There's huge departments that are working from home 100% of the time. So let's go to their door. And we were having conversations today. Some were better than others, but part of the process of learning and doing the work that needs to be done. So
awesome. All right. I think we could go ahead and open it up for questions, right? Let's get to the questions. So that way we do want to note that tonight we do have a hard stop time of 8 o'clock. So the call will be ending at 8. So let's go ahead and get started. I see that Miss Monica Blankparty is first on our list. Hi, Monica. Good evening. How are you? Go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
I'm sorry, Monica, before you go, just to give everybody a reminder, we are going to be doing a 2-minute timing. So we ask that you please keep any comments, questions, or statements to 2 minutes. You will be timed. So we'll do a 15-second reminder. And then when we call time, you'll be muted. And if there's another opportunity, you can jump back in the queue and we'll get back to you if we can't answer everything. Thank you.
All right, Monica, go ahead.
Actually, good evening, but this is going to be a pretty definite yes or no going around. We received the emails in regards to the DLC president that were removed. My question is now, are we going to be doing that to other seats that were put in under Mr. Brown like that? Because this technically is your area of the organizing and the representation, Annika. But if anyone else feels free to give advice on that part, because if we went, are we going to go look through and see, are there other seats as Debers, as stewards, as, are we going to go look through that also if they were put in the wrong area, the wrong way?
I think actually you're highlighting some good points that we haven't necessarily thought of. I do know that the 2 presidents that that you guys received the email on, those unfortunately were not done correctly. I obviously did not appoint them, therefore policy file was not followed, and so that's kind of just the easiest response, right? Policy file wasn't followed. The appointment shouldn't have been made by the president. You are right. I should have made the appointments. I do take full responsibility for not sticking stronger on those points when I was having the conversations with, in this situation, one of the presidents. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And I think that's probably something that we should talk about, because I could think about couple of different instances where people have questioned something. So maybe that's something that you could bring forward more specifically, Monica. I don't know if anybody else had something to add to that. Feel free. And I don't know if Monica got muted. So let's see if we could. Anyway, so that, yeah, that's my answer. All right, it looks like Miss Sean Harrison is next. Monica, if you had another follow-up. Oh, there you go. Okay. No, get back in the queue. They're still
Hello?
There you go. Okay,
hello.
Go ahead.
Okay. Technically looking for a yes or a no. Are you going to be looking into when like we as Devers, or when we have people come to us and say, hey, this didn't seem right, are you going to step in and, like you said, there were things you weren't aware of? How soon can we see a process start when we start wanting something to be looked into?
I can't give a definite timeline, but I would, if you could bring those forward, the ones that are questioned, that would be great. I think that's how these 2 were highlighted. They were actually brought forward as questions, right? There was questions about the appointments. And that's why we looked into them. So yeah, definitely, flag them so that way we could have a conversation. I do know that we were not aware of everything that happened, right? And how it happened. So if you have something that you want to bring forward, please do so.
Okay, so I'm going to email it to you and Bill and David, right?
And Irene, at all of us.
And Irene? Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, thank you.
Sounds good. All right, Monica. Ms. Sean Harrison, thank you. Sorry for all that. Feel free to unmute and ask your question.
That is okay. So piggybacking on Monica, I saw the announcement too. Can you guys maybe use these as teachable moments and provide, instead of just generic bylaws, policy files, actually say where in the bylaws or the policy files it is? Again, then people can learn from these experiences what exactly was the criteria that you used. So that's one. And then the other one, I know you've talked several times about this LAX, but can you put something out that allows us to do some research and again, knowledge transfer so we can look it up and see what it's out if that's available? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, those are actually really good suggestions. I thought that I was being super savvy right now because I totally had the policy file up so that I could reference it. And apparently I have way too many windows open and I can't find it right now. So yes, I will definitely make an effort to next time, be able to provide those things. I do think you make a great point. It is important, sorry, and this is me just messing with stuff, trying to be techie. I think it is important that we, address where in the policy file it is so that people could look it up. And your second point in terms of the LA Fed. So yes, we have affiliates all over. It's the LA County Labor Federation. That's what it stands. That's what the title is officially. And that is something else that I could send to, I know you're a Deaver, right? So you're not, I was going to say I could send to the presidents and to the VP chief stewards, but maybe it's just something that I announce in terms of, like a website that you guys could go check out. I do know that if you Google Los Angeles County Union Federation, Labor Federation, it should pop up. David, do you have a better email? I know you might already memorize it.
The email for the LA Fed is the LAFed.org. Okay. So it's not just LA Fed, it's the put THELAFED, and I believe it's .org. But I think I think she's Shauna may be referring to a communication piece, going, just letting people know more about it, I think. And I think that is in the works, right? There was somebody from a staffer from the communications department contacted me last week. I think they contacted you as well, right? So
yeah.
And I'm not sure that piece has gone out, so I'm guessing they're still working on it, but it'd be good to follow up to find out where that is, when we could expect that to come out, because I think that it's going to provide more insight into what exactly the program is. That should be coming out soon, hopefully, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice to show some positive activity that's going on.
Yeah. And I know one of our members that's participating in it, Cherish, was indicating that we should do more like social media type video, and I'm not as great at that as I should be, I guess, given my age. I don't know how else to phrase that, but yeah, I don't do a whole lot of social media, but it's a good point. We're missing out on a way of communicating out to our members, and so we are going to look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, and there, I was still trying to find it in the policy file. It should be in section 4. I was trying to find it exactly. All right, Miss Heather Mula, how are you today? Go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Hello there. I am going to pop off some questions quickly so I don't run out of my 2 minutes. Please forgive my naivety. I am not a union pro, okay? My question is, first off, so if Richard gets ousted, if he gets kicked out or whatever, do we vote for a new president? That's question 1. Question 2, so at this point, is Mr. Hall considered our new president? What does he do? What is his job? Like I said, forgive my naivety, please. Third, as a board, and since members voted for Mr. Brown, will we still be pushing for the points that Richard stood for? Like I said, I don't know how a lot of things work, and I know these are questions that within my workplace have been asked. I have a lot of people that get emails and they're like, what the heck is going on? They just see it crazy. And if you don't understand what's going on, it looks really bad. And I'm afraid that we're going to have numbers dropping really soon. And that scares me, especially with the numbers for bargaining unit 1 being so low. It scares me that there are people that are threatening to leave in mass exodus. So if you could clear those things up, that would be awesome. Like I said, I'm dumb as a rock when it comes to union like policy files and things like that. So if you could explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old, please.
I will do my best. Does somebody else want to take a jab at it, or should I kind of just go? Okay, I'm gonna go.
You want me, how about I,
If
you want me to step in and
if you want to,
start off,
maybe
Annika?
we say, yeah, maybe you explain your roles, right? In terms of, we'll kind of go 1, 2, and then maybe you could dive in a little bit deeper as to what, what your role is. And I know you kind of touched on it last call, but I think it's important to restate it so that everybody is kind of clear on what's up. So is Richard still the president?
Oh.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so thank you, Heather. First of all, Richard is still the president. He has due process, which he is being afforded within the local through the HR 1 complaint process. And then there is also legal action with him. So there's a long way to go to figure out what's going to happen with Richard. I think the other part of your question was about his program and his ideas. I think actually Richard has brought forward some of the issues and ideas that are really important to members. And I think some of his ideas were actually good. Richard's implementation of those ideas and the problems surrounding him as an individual within the local, that's really where the problem lied. Under the new language in the policy file, I'm chair of the board. I am not the president. I do not assume the president. I do not have the same roles and responsibilities as the president had. We moved all the duties of the president to the board of directors. So the board of directors, for the first time in the history of Local 1000, actually has responsibility and is actually the governing body of this organization. So you have a direct link to that board through your DLC president who sits on the board, or your bargaining unit chair who also sits on the board. I have basically five duties. And so in the policy file section 3.0.05, duties of the chair of the Local 1000 Board of Directors. 1, as directed by the Local 1000 Board of Directors, administering the daily affairs of Local 1000, carrying out the policies and procedures of Local 1000, executing the plans and programs of Local 1000, and between meetings of the Local 1000 Board of Directors, making all necessary interpretations or clarifications of the Local 1000 bylaws and policy file. 2, scheduling and presiding over all meetings of the Local 1000 Board of Directors. 3, reviewing agenda items submitted for the Local 1000 Board of Directors meetings and referring or deferring agenda items. 4, preside over the Local 1000 Agenda Committee. 5, any other duties assigned by the Local 1000 Board of Directors. Those are the duties and responsibilities I have. The policy is now set by the Local 1000 Board of Directors. The chair serves at the pleasure of the board. So if the board is unhappy with me by Saturday, they can move me out and bring in somebody else. So the idea and the concept behind this is to bring accountability and a division of authority so that we don't have to have one person who their way is how the union goes, no matter what anybody else thinks or says. I hope that that answers your question, Heather, and for others. And I will leave it to Annika to answer the rest of the question.
So yeah, I think you covered most of it. Richard is actually still the president. So that's that. And as of now, he still has a vote on the board, right? So and personally, when we're talking about his plans, I, like Bill, actually think that he had a lot of great ideas. So I think we will definitely take those that, and continue working some of those, because some of those are already kind of in place. And, we got to move to bargaining and get that the biggest raise that we can get, right? But we do need to make sure that we are building membership so that we come strong next year at bargaining. So hopefully that answered all your questions, Heather. If not, please feel free to get back in the queue. All right, it looks like Ms. Dina Bowman is next. Bowman, sorry. Go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Okay, hi. I'm new union member and new state employee, and I'm in bargaining unit 1.
Welcome, congratulations.
Thank you. Yep, just passed my probation. My question is, one of my big concerns is the health care. I finally caved in and listened to my relatives and said, get with the state, you'll be cared for life. I found out to my dismay that when I joined, that for me, I will only have access to HMO, which is fine because I was with Cedars-Sinai. If you're in the LA area, they are the premier platinum hospital, and especially their medical groups. And when I tried to find out if they were eligible, I contacted United Healthcare, and they said, oh, no, I'm sorry. You have Cal HR HMO. You can't use Cedars. And therefore, I lost my platinum healthcare and was very disappointed. I just want to know in the future if there could be some bargaining or whatever, that if you have an HMO, you could go to any provider, well, one of the major providers. That would make me really happy if I can get back with Cedars again.
Thank you for sharing. And actually, you kind of sparked something that I would like to remind everybody on this call. So before you answer your question, it's probably something that I should have announced and will announce at the head of every call from now on. You guys, whoever is the healthcare provider through the state, right? You will obviously continue to receive that $260 stipend, right? Which obviously they tax. If you were correct, if you previously to receiving the stipend did FlexElect, so if you were a FlexElect receiver, you would want to contact and make sure that you reapply for your FlexElect by April for sure. I would do it soon. I'm not sure what the exact date is, but I do know that you are in the time frame. You would want to make that request now. In terms of the healthcare, our healthcare is actually handled by CalPERS, and so we do have a board that kind of governs the different healthcare rates and kind of the different plans, and they work that out with the providers, obviously. And so we do have a voice at that table. One of our prior vice presidents actually, I think, just got promoted on that board, right? If I'm correct, I don't know exactly her new title. But also more than anything, SCIU Local 1000 has done things in the past where we were trying to, lower rates and things of that nature. So Local 1000 definitely has gotten involved in trying to mitigate some of the changes, some of the, cost spikes, kind of all the different issues that come up with healthcare. We have tried to address in different like groups, committees, and do work with CalPERS. So that's where you would want to get involved if you could in any way, shape, or form, and make sure that you, you could send an email, Teresa Taylor. Does she still have an email address, SCIU email address? She must, right? T Taylor at SCIU.org? No?
No, she doesn't.
Okay,
she's president of the CalPERS board now.
Okay.
She's running for re-election, and she does not have an SCIU email address. So I think you'd have to reach out to her now through CalPERS. But she is an state employee at franchise tax.
Right.
Okay, and quickly, what's FlexElect? I'm not familiar with all these terms being tossed around.
So flex select is an option when there are two state employees, typically, right, married, you and your partner are both state employees. And so
15 seconds.
under the provisions, you're not allowed to both be covered healthcare, right? One will cover the other. And so one of them gets like an extra stipend for not covering the healthcare. Right. So I don't know if somebody could explain that better. I'm sure I did a horrible job.
No,
but
I get it.
It is essentially kind of that, right? Both can't cover the same thing. So they kind of get a little stipend, and that's a monthly thing. So, but you do have to enroll for it. Okay. Okay. So we have David Patoli next. Forgive me if I said your name incorrectly. Go ahead, unmute and ask your question. Thank you for joining us.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Just the first question. I know with the new board chair and everything. So if Bill is the board chair, but I guess he's also a DLC president, does that mean he holds both positions at once? I'm just curious if that is that's the case. Second question I had was the policy file. I know everyone keeps talking about the policy file. I cannot find the latest copy on the SEIU website. I literally go in, search policy file, and one comes up from, I think, 2019 or something. So I don't know if that's something that can be emailed or shared, how to get to. The last question I had was, I know I brought it up previously, but the PERB IT settlement, I've called Cal HR, I've called SEIU, who said call your local HR department. They said this has nothing to do with us. It's between Cal HR and SEIU Local 1000. So I'm completely at kind of like wit's end here on where to go to find out more information about, how we received the money that was involved with this settlement, the IT classifications. So if anyone can bring any light to that, that'd be great. And I think that's all I have.
Okay. So in terms of the policy file, the dates that you see at the bottom of the policy file is the last time that they were revised. So you'll see different dates at the bottom of different sections. So that's what those dates are indicating. Some areas have had revisions more recently than others. That one is currently the most current policy file. However, given the most recent changes, those are being incorporated, and as soon as they are done, I know we have some staffers working on that, making sure that they're kind of getting it all together correctly. I'm sure that will be posted on the website ASAP. But for now, I always use the search app for the policy file and just kind of save it, but you could put in their policy file and it should be, I think, the first or second thing that comes up. Governance documents, I think, is what kind of pops up. Irene, did you want to take the IT reclass question?
I definitely can. Thank you, Annika. Hey, David. Nice to see you, or sort of see you. Thank you for your question. Yes, the IT PERB decision came out, I believe it was about a year and a half ago, maybe a year and 8 months or somewhere around up in there. And there was a process that you were supposed to go through in order to make sure that you met the guidelines and the timeframes in order to get that settlement. What I can do for you, David, have the classification bargaining unit representative, Vincent Green, give you a call, and he can work out with you what's going on with your issue not receiving that payment. I do have your name, David Patoli, so I'll go ahead and look up your contact information tomorrow and go ahead and forward that over to him and expect a phone call from him. He'll walk you through it and give you some updated information. I do apologize that you weren't able to get anything from the union or from your personnel department, but we'll actually hook you up with someone that can actually answer those questions for you, okay?
All right, thank you, David. It looks like
he had a big first part to his question about the chair, I think, and I think he was asking about whether the chair Bill is being DLC president and having chair like dual roles.
Oh.
Now that's now permissible under the new policy file changes, but I do just want to clear out or clarify that does not mean he has 2 votes on the board. He votes at least the way we've been doing it lately, as when we do roll call and we call his DLC number. So that's when he votes, and there's not a second vote like for the chairman. So hope that helps.
Thank you for wrapping that up, because we didn't answer that. I appreciate that, David. See, that's why I like having you guys on this call, because I'd be getting lost after your guys' like fourth or fifth question. I'm sorry, I tried to write it down.
They got 2 minutes. They're gonna put them all out there in their 2 minutes.
I know. Now that they're being timed, I know. Wasfi, I'm not sure where you went. Maybe you put your hand down, because I don't see it anymore. I don't know what happened. Sorry. Looks like Mr. Mike Ramos is next. How are you, Mr. Ramos? Go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. My questions are based around membership drive. Biggest thing I got to point out to you guys is we need to update our new member brochures and catalogs in the folder. I mean, they are very outdated and not very welcoming. I really think we need to put together a group of people that can discuss it to find out what items are engaging versus what's not, because there's some really good stuff in there. And then on the other hand, there's just a waste of paper. So we need to really get a consensus of what good looks like. Additionally, because we're having trouble getting into the LA office, I have no means of getting into it. So I have no means of refreshing those new member kits. And I've been meeting with a lot of non-members and new members over the last couple months and signing up a lot of people. All I can do is direct them to the website and hope that they get the information they need, follow up, and always provide what I can. Lastly, I think we need to consider a virtual membership kit, an item where a new member can click on a link. They'll have access to all the information that would come to a new member, so they can print it out, have easy access to it. And frankly, that is very millennial friendly, as well as those IT savvy folks friendly. It saves paper, it's good for the environment, and it's just a win-win. And that's my whole thing. Those are things I'm hoping to see as we move to our membership drive.
Thank you. Yeah, so we do have a virtual membership link. You might want, maybe you're talking about it more expanded, but we do have our membership app online that you could, well, it's just kind of stuck on my phone, so that's not fair, right? I cheat. But you can access it from the website. You sign up, there's like a big yellow kind of stampy looking button that says sign up, and it kind of takes you to that virtual membership app. I've used it a couple of times. I actually learned this week that once you fill it out and it says congratulations, it's not done yet. You still have to kind of do some kind of put your last name and date it for it to officially come through. So I'll flag that. I just learned that. I love your recommendations. So, and I think you're absolutely correct. I do know that we are working on the new NEO information. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of like the older stuff, those pamphlets that were like multi-layered. Those are coming out new. They're kind of working on all of that, fixing everything, because even our DLC numbers were incorrect. So thank you for all of those suggestions in terms of the refreshing documents. And I'm actually in LA, Mike. So if you could get in contact, let's talk this week. I can meet you at the LA office. Typically, if you need to access one of the offices right now, you need to have approval to do so given the circumstances. And so you would want to reach out to somebody who would have access, or you could reach out to the chief of staff, and obviously there would be some questions. What do you need? What, maybe the rep could bring it to you. In some situations, I'm not sure if those conversations have happened, but I know I'm in LA now and I'm willing to meet you at the LA office, and we could definitely get you those, these things, right? Filled out and all complete and stuff. And the membership apps are new. We just, these are new. So we do have new membership apps. So I do think we can make them a little more savvy. Anyway, thank you, Mike. Did anybody else have anything to add? Did I miss anything? No? Okay. Hope that helps, Mike. And give me a call. Or I will try and send you a text so that way we can connect. Mr. Craig Nelson, unmute. Go ahead, unmute, and feel free to ask your question. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, I love being able to go after Mike because it's very positive that he's bringing up membership. And of course, membership is how we're going to get a great contract in the coming bargaining cycle. And more members means more power and more leverage we'll have to getting a great contract. I got two things. One is that asking about the telework, how we're doing with that. I really hope we're moving forward with that, and if there are any updates that are going to be coming through on that. The second thing is not as positive. There were people who were reinstated as stewards by President Brown that were suspended or lost their memberships validly through the HR1 process. I would like to know what's going to be happening with them on that, and if there's anything that's being done to look into that. And that's about it.
If you have some of that information, if you could send it up the ladder, that'd be great. Because I when appointments happened, I don't think there was any double check.
You were not informed of new stewards?
No, that's not what I said. I said there wasn't no check to see whether or not those people had some kind of HR1 or any of that, right? There were just appointments being made, is how it was happening. So I was just trying to make sure we got them trained up or retrained. So if you know of something like that, please send it up the ladder, because we probably
wouldn't you do the vetting? Wouldn't you be doing the vetting? Wouldn't you be doing the vetting at this point because you weren't allowed to before?
No, I have not been allowed to do. That's kind of something that continued, right? If there was an appointment that our president wanted to make, he did that, and he would send me the name and say, let's get them trained. So I was trying to make sure that everybody was trained. There was the typical vetting that does happen should be happening starting again very soon, because we had a large pool of people who were in different buckets, right? Who either had started labs, didn't get to finish it, did the orientation. There was a lot of that. So because the program had been down for 2 years, when we started it back up, we tried to get as many people through that training as possible. But we're still, what I'm telling you now is still different than the appointments made by Richard. So I think those are kind of two different things. And yeah, that's where we're
maybe
at.
Annika, sorry to jump in, Annika, but maybe you could, if you still remember the numbers off the top of your head, that how many stewards have gone through the labs since it's been reinstated. Wasn't it like over almost 200 or 180
actually,
something?
in about
remember?
By graduation time, we were a little over 80 in each class. So we've done a little bit under. We're about the 160, 170 mark, which again is separate from, and that number might include some. However, it's not inclusive of all the individuals that Richard was appointing. Right? I was getting those lists kind of sent to me as it happened, and it was almost daily. So I hope I answered all your questions. All right, it looks like Mr. Brian Burns is next. Go ahead, unmute and ask your question. Welcome. Let's see, are you able to unmute? I'm gonna try one more time. Brian? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Sorry, Brian, you could go ahead and raise your hand again. Okay, it looks like Miss Kelly Newby is next. Go ahead, unmute and ask your question. Hi, Kelly, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, Annika, for taking my call. And I would just like to say that, since we're very privileged to have you all on this call, if there's a response to some of the questions that I have, that might be very helpful instead of trying to go through the DLC presidents. The first question is it possible for you to outline the specific policy changes that the new leadership has enacted and how it affects the members? The second thing is it possible as well for there to be some summary of the meetings that are held, posted onto the SEIU website? The next question I have is it also possible for whoever is on the CalPERS board, I apologize, I don't know if it's Teresa or Irene, I apologize. But anyways, if they could provide updates to the members about what is happening that would affect us, and also perhaps our retirement, that sort of thing would be very helpful. And is it also possible for you to, or someone to ID the dates of the current policies so we know which ones are current and which ones we can anticipate we'll be seeing some new information on? And lastly, I just wanted to say that I sincerely wish you all the very best. I hope that the very best happens for all of the members and that we're able to work together to accomplish the goals of meeting their needs. Thanks, Annika. Bye.
Thank you. All right, so in terms of, I just kind of, to start off, in terms of the policy file, I had stated earlier that the dates at the bottom was when they were last updated. And those dates don't necessarily mean that we're jumping to the last date of when it was updated. Whenever somebody on the board, doesn't have, sorry, Michelle totally threw me off. Whenever somebody on the board wants to make a change, they propose it in the form of a motion, right? And so some of the dates you'll see are pretty far back. It's because nobody's made any changes. So there's been no change to that since the last date that you see at the bottom, right? So I guess if you would want to see a change, then you would definitely, I would bring it to your DLC president and see if that's something that they would support. Realistically, it could be any board member. So that could be your chair or any one of the DLC presidents that would bring that change forward, and then the board would vote on whether or not that change would be implemented. In terms of the CalPERS board information, I think it's a great idea, but it's something that we would definitely have to talk to Teresa Taylor about. I think they do some kind of updates, and I think they have like an email list, but you'd probably have to go to CalPERS to get on that. And although we are connected, our systems don't link like that, the union with CalPERS. And so really we as state employees link more with CalPERS ourselves, right? So you would have to get online and check to see if you could get on those email lists, because I do believe that they have monthly meetings. I'm not sure of the date or time. And then you asked a meetings question hosted on the website in terms of dates. We have been on the SEIU Facebook, like tonight, we are streaming these calls live, right? We're doing this for the rest of March. When we go back to the regular stewards calls, those are something that we've kept, although we record them, it's not something that we have shared out thus far and don't plan to, because it is meant to be a safe space for stewards to be able to share and discuss some issues and to go ahead and network solutions and all that stuff. So did I miss anything, guys? I think
if I understood, there was a question about our meetings and providing a summary of what was done in our meetings, if that's how I understood it. So on my end, so I just wanted to let everybody know that once we approve, so we've had three emergency board meetings, right? The 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. I see a pattern here. The minutes from those meetings should be approved coming up in one of these, in the next month on the 19th. And once they're approved by the board, we could post them on our website. So if that's what your question was about, what we do in these emergency board meetings, they're also, at least the last one was open entirely. So it's on our website as well to view the actual meeting, but the minutes will be approved at the next one and then posted after that. I think there was also a question about I have my notes, chair creation and the impact on membership. And I think Bill has indicated that already, that pretty much most of the duties or all the duties of the president have been now transferred to the chair or to the board. Through the board via the chair, or he could probably explain that better, but I guess the impact on membership, so the board is elected by the members. And so I would just say that the chair position is not. That's elected by the board. So he serves at the pleasure, or the chairperson serves at the pleasure of the board. That person is not elected by the membership. So I would just, that's the impact that I see. And I think Bill could probably clean that up a little bit better than I can.
All right, David, you're close. So all the powers of the president were transferred to the board. The board grants certain authority for day-to-day operations to a chairperson. Somebody has to be in the office to move the organization forward and deal with an unbelievable amount of day-to-day items. Now, this is a change. In the past, the board only approved what was brought to the board by a what we would refer to as a strong president. So the strong president had complete authority without any accountability, except at an election cycle, which is every 3 years. So now the board has the authority. So you have a more direct influence on what happens with the organization because you're closer to your president. So hopefully that will allow for greater democracy and greater input. Also, because the board actually has the authority, there's nobody to rule over the board or keep the board at bay. So now the board can choose to push and move things forward. And to touch on one consequence of moving this forward in this way is one of the things David just alluded to. So there was an emergency board meeting by the vice presidents that had to happen to deal with the events occurring in our organization. It had reached a crisis point. They acted. We had a board meeting. At that board meeting, we ratified with the whole board what was done on October 17th by the the board members who chose to participate on the 17th. And it wasn't the full board, but there was a quorum. So we were able to change the policy file. So that brings us to last Saturday. So last Saturday, the board met on an emergency basis to begin to do the work of the organization that really hadn't been done since, I don't know, March of last year. So the board met in March, there was some business done. The board met in June. There was a handoff from Yvonne to the incoming board members and Richard. And then from that point forward, the board was shut out of the governing session. That the board was really effective in having any input on was the UAW staff contract. Now we're returning to what I think is appropriate governance. The board has a real job to do, real work to do, and has the ability to really move the organization forward in a way that we have not had in the past. With that said, that takes more time, effort, and energy on everybody's part. So we had met last Saturday. We will be meeting again this Saturday. One of the things on the agenda for this Saturday is to set dates for the regular board meetings for the rest of the year, and make some plans around how we're going to move forward, along with some motions. And I've asked for a little bit of grace and a little bit of space. Myself, David, Irene, Annika, we're all working together. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to dig into and repair. There's just a lot of stuff that has to be fixed. And that's going to take us some time. And I know from my discussion with the three of them, when we're having these discussions, as well as myself, we take notes. We do circle back and talk about some of the things that came up right away. We put things on a future agenda calendar for us to discuss and move forward. And I don't want to make any big speeches about the work that's going to be done. What I would say is watch us, give us a little grace and space. And, evaluate us on what we actually accomplished for you, because we're all here to move forward and make your day-to-day life better. And that is the focus as of right now. That's the important work. And I've talked for a lot. If somebody else has something to add, please jump in and add.
I would.
think, oh, go
I
ahead.
would just. Yeah. No, I would just add that that I would say that when the three vice presidents agreed to suspend Richard Brown, we started acting. We started moving the business of the union forward as the three of us, and then and then there was the addition of the chair position within a week after, and that and so the four of us. It's now the four of us in this decision-making process. But I would just say, just that when we decided to suspend Richard, we started handling the day-to-day operations as a team or as a group of three people making decisions. And we, at that point, we also were planning to call a full board meeting ASAP. So yeah.
I'm just going to highlight that I think it's important that we do continue to work together. I think both David and Bill make some great points, right? We definitely need to get to the work that is actually going to move this organization and build membership and start rebuilding the trust in our organization by its members, us, you. So, step one is here. You guys are telling us what you think. Thank you for that, right? Us being on this call, being willing to listen, I think is also a great sign that we care. We really do. And so I'll leave that there and hope that, please feel free to, I know Bill asked for grace and space. I kind of don't expect it. I'm sure my husband would love it, but hey, it's in the job position. It's what we are doing. So you got my number. I've said it many times. If you got an issue, give me a call and I will do my best to get back to you. Right now, stuff is crazy, but I will get back. All right, thank you, everybody. Miss Yuan Kai, if you'd like to unmute and ask your question. Thank you for joining us. I see you're unmuted. Hello? Miss Yon? Okay, so I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to go ahead and move to the next hand. Miss Eileen Boughton. Hi, Miss Eileen. How are you doing today? Let me make sure that you could unmute. All right, you should be in.
I'm good, but you had Waspy. He was waving at that time. He could go before me, and then I'll go after him if that's okay.
He's still on the list. Go ahead and just ask your question. He's not too far down. I didn't see him in the camera, and it's probably because we're highlighted. So I apologize.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Thank you, though.
Okay. I tried. I want to go back. I missed the first half of this, so I don't know if anything's been said, but I want to know about the court hearing that's going to come up to see if the judge is going to rule that the meeting for October was valid or not. And if it was valid, what does it mean? If it wasn't valid, what does it mean? And then also grace and space. I also would like for all of us to have that grace and space. If you could give us a synopsis, possibly a written synopsis of about a lot of stuff that you guys are trying to fix, so we could have a clearer understanding of what we could be looking forward to. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. I'm help, guys, help. I'm so sorry, Eileen. I'm like, wait a second.
Hey. So I can answer the question on the writ. Since the policy file was ratified, so says the October meeting policy file changes were re-ratified by the entire board on March 5th. That actually moots that part of the court case. The remainder of the lawsuit is intact and will be moving forward. So I can give you a brief. We have staff issues to deal with. We have finances. The board hasn't seen finances in months. No idea what the financial structure is. David and our accounting department are working on that to get that out to the next board meeting. We have decisions to make around membership and membership recruitment. The leadership here has decided collectively to ask the International for help, which they're giving us and we're receiving. And there's more decisions to make around that. We have day-to-day operational and structure issues. Security in our buildings was not adequate, and we need to bring those issues to the board and work on fixing some of those things. The list is really pretty long, right? Updating the website, updating and educating the members and answering their questions thoroughly. Putting maybe a synopsis of the meetings, putting the agenda for the meetings up on the website so that, members can go and see what's coming up for the next board meeting and talk to their presidents. We need to repair our relationship with the state of California. And a lot of this is going to fall on Irene's shoulders as the VP of bargaining. So she has to rebuild our relationship with the state of California so that we can move forward and be successful in both short-term and long-term contract negotiations. We have to try to reestablish our relationship with the legislature and the governor. At least let them know that we're an actual partner, and will be appropriately respectful. So that's just a few of the day-to-day items, plus the bigger picture items that we're looking at. And as other people, DLC presidents and others have talked about, as David and Annika are currently working on, as Irene has had input and I've had input, our membership drive currently is the *1 focus that we're moving forward on. And that's moving as fast as we can make it move. So I hope that answers both the lawsuit and kind of like the day-to-day of what we're working on and what's happening. And where I asked for grace and space, my ask was really focused on give us the time to get to everything, because each of these items takes time. The space is around, give us a bit to work through things. You will not see everything tomorrow, but it doesn't mean that your leadership group is not working on it. And that's what I meant by time and space and grace.
Thank you. And I'm going to try to just throw this out here because it's something that happens all the time and just moving forward. So guys, when we're on this call, that was my bad.
Uh-oh. You froze, Annika.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, Annika, when you unfreeze, you can chime in. I just wanted to... I just wanted to add that, some of the things that are moving forward, like Bill indicated, so the board will be having a schedule of board meetings for the rest of the year decided pretty soon, and it's being brought forward, right? That's something that was not being done before. This organizing institute going on in LA, it's the only program of its size going on right now. We hope to start more with partnerships through the international and getting back into that Together We Rise, which is like an organizing program from what I'm gathering. And also just to share a bit of a detail on the Organizing Institute. I mean, even though there had been plenty of conversations and we've been pushing hard to get this off the ground, the Union League wasn't approved until I was acting president on February 28th. And we had our first training March 4th, 5th, and 6th. So obviously, you know, if you're aware with union leave processes, that's within the cutoff. So we were pushing things really short, or, you know, past deadlines. And that wasn't because this was a last minute thing. It's because, you know, Richard wasn't moving on it. So I actually, as acting president, approved the union leave for all of those that are participating in that program. And and just to, you know, again, reiterate that it's not going to be the only one, and we hope to have more. And these are all things that I think we weren't getting done because of the relationships that were destroyed or not being fostered in a positive way. So membership is you know, it's on the forefront of our minds, and that's what we're trying to bring to the table, as well as I guess, you know, the first week of or, you know, when Richard decided to do what he did at the headquarters, we were, you know, that was time consuming. It was impossible to take care of a lot of other needed business that needed to be handled because we were dealing with the crisis. You know, our headquarters had been taken over. So just, you know, keep that in mind too, that once that situation was resolved, I guess, and we got the TRO, you know, we were able to go back to a place of, okay, now try less crisis, more focus on what needs to be done and move forward. And so, I see Annika back.
Thank you. Sorry, totally missed the question. Apparently my Wi-Fi, I said I'm in LA, my Wi-Fi just totally shut off. So, or my hotspot, I should say. So I got back as quickly as possible. Sorry, Sean. And thank you. Sounds like David covered it. Did anybody else want to add something? No? Okay. Let's see. Mr. Bobby Duda. How are you doing, Mr. Bobby? Uh-oh, Miss Sean Harrison is waving her hands. Okay, hold on. Maybe we didn't get it muted. So hold on a second, Bobby.
I was next. So we were.
Oh, I thought you answered your question.
No,
I mean,
hadn't.
asked your question.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Don't start that clock. I'm gonna stick with what I originally raised my hand on, which was to ask you guys if you could identify those parts of Brown's 10 points. You said some of them you liked. If you could identify which ones you like and you're gonna support, that would be appreciated. But Bill, you said something about repairing relationships, and I couldn't understand why all of a sudden my manager was coming after me, other than I'm the only steward of Unit 1 at 761. Please understand that kind of talk makes us believe what we've always thought, is that our union is kind of in bed with the state. And I know we don't want to be disrespectful, but at the same time, we can't be trying to make them happy. We're supposed to be looking out for our members. So I would hope you'd maybe restate that or explain it better, because boom, red flags went off at me. Repair, I mean, yes, Brown might have said some things, but we're not here to try to be buddy, but we don't want to be necessary adversaries. But I'm just like, that concerns me when I hear that, because that almost sounds like we're going to acquiesce to make them happy. And that's been a concern about what our contract and what our representation has looked like. So thank you so much for your time.
So I'll get to
Sure.
the 10-point platform question, Sean. I actually don't have one of Richard's brochures in front of me, and I don't memorize his 10-point platforms. Obviously, so I can't speak to them like numerically, right? But you know, he said 21% raise. I think all of us would love a 21% raise, right? He said strike. I personally think that we can't come in with lower than 80% membership in order for anyone to take a strike seriously. That, again, from an organizing perspective, that's where you come with power. If you can move 80,000 people, I think our bosses will definitely pay attention. In terms of representation, I think we've already seen some positive changes. I know I've heard positive things from our staff. I know there's still work to be done, but I do think that the representation piece and the ability for our reps to be able to focus on 1 to 2 DLCs versus the workload of before, I think has been very helpful. Now, some people, in terms of the organizing, it has not gone away. I know it's looking different, and I know that's going to take some getting used to, but that's my piece on the representational piece. I kind of don't even remember, those are like the ones for me that stuck out, right? I don't remember the rest of them.
I have one that sticks out that I know, because yeah, me too. I don't remember the 10-point plan, but I do know I do remember the one about dropping the dues by 50%.
Oh, that's right.
That's not gonna, I mean, we can't do 50%. We could if we up membership significantly, then there's, we could discuss lowering dues possibly. I mean, obviously not raising dues if we increase membership significantly, but we can't drop dues 50%. That's just not going to happen especially with our current membership numbers. So yeah.
And then Bill, I think you wanted to address.
So let me step in. So Sean, I appreciate your comment and your concern. Having a relationship with the state of California, from my perspective, means that we talk respectfully. Are we at times adversarial? Yes. But when our tables have gone cold and CalHR is not working at all, address your issues. We cannot make your day-to-day life better. When the governor will not reach out and engage with us and holds us at bay, that's not good for the membership at the end of the day. It doesn't mean we're in bed. It doesn't mean we're going to roll over, but it's not bad to be able to talk to the neighbor that you don't like and you have problems with because they play their music too loud at 2 o'clock in the morning. To be able to talk to that neighbor might actually be productive. So I don't see having a reasonable, responsible adult relationship as being somehow in bed with or in the back pocket of either the governor, CalHR, or any politician. Now that's me. And again, don't take our words what we accomplish.
And I'd actually just like to add that, I do feel that relationships matter. We should build relationships. And I think in any relationship, there is a healthy balance between the people in that relationship to be able to share thoughts, ideas, concerns, and have kind of like Bill was saying, a respectful conversation and at sometimes agree to disagree, right? But a relationship is good to maintain. I think we see that in everyday life. I think we see that when we organize well, right? When we sit and have conversations with people, I think that's how we flourish, right? We are able to have diverse thought and conversation. And I think that's where we really grow. So I would agree. I mean, hey, conversations with politicians are not always nice, but you got to be able to get in front of the politician to have that conversation, to tell them what you think, right? Even if that thought is not so nice. And I know I've had some of those with our mayor. So anyway, anybody else wanted, David, did you want to jump in? I felt like you did maybe, but no?
No, I was coughing in my shoulder.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I misread. Thank you. All right, it looks like I see Mr. Bobby Dutta next. Hi, Bobby, how you doing? Go ahead, unmute hopefully and ask your question. And I see that, oh, there he is. Okay. Let's see, can you unmute? There you go.
Okay, I've done it. I feel successful. Several questions. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time. I know I've only got a couple of minutes. One, Bill mentioned that international was helping us. How is international helping us, rendering the help that we need in what ways, and how is that help being received and being productive? One. Two, David earlier on mentioned that he was doing home visits, and that's a new concept. I'd like to learn more about that. And he also mentioned that there were some challenges, and I'm interested in learning what were those challenges and what are your plan to overcome those challenges. And secondly, this morning, I received a circular that was being circulated among managers that CalHR generated. They're asking managers to be prepared for the bargaining session that's coming up next year. And they're asking for feedback. They're saying what's working within the MOU, what's not. Give us some ideas how we can better position ourselves to negotiate. What kind of counterplan do you have right now to get ready for that eventuality of next year? And finally, I know that we have done a tremendous work in getting members involved in a lot of different things, but that kind of paused for some length of time. What's your plan of reactivating and invigorating the membership?
15 seconds.
To move this thing forward. That's it. Looks like I exhausted all my time.
Thank you, Bobby. And the rest of my team, feel free to jump in. I'll start off with the whole international helping. So boots on the ground, right? Like you alluded to, there were a lot of programs that kind of came to a halting stop and hadn't gotten restarted. A portion of that was because in the beginning, we were able to discovered that there was a large amount of money that we were spending on union leave. So we had to be smarter about that, right? So we are going to re-engage membership, but that help, we haven't done that yet, right? And so international is actually helping out with boots on the ground in terms of in order to move some of these programs forward, right? Or they would help with things like phone banking for us, right? Reaching out to some of our non-members. Like I said, boots on the ground so that they could come and do and help in some of the, like the organizing institute that I keep talking about. That's something that we would love to push out statewide, right? Like David said, we need to find what works, tweak what doesn't, and then we could definitely modify that. And I know our staff that's working on this now wants to push that out. So boots on the ground, as well as, kind of helping us refocus, what we need to kind of our resources and how and where we need to focus them, right? In terms of, like I'm saying, with these organizing, also kind of re-engaging in some of the programs that we used to engage with and send members to. So one of the big ones, now I'm going to blank on the name as soon as I want to say it. What was it called? Help me out, Irene or David or Bill. The organizing program that international.
Trade to my gosh.
Long day. Yeah.
Rise, something rise.
Together we rise.
Together we rise. Together we rise. That's right.
TRW.
Yeah, that's an organizing thing. Yeah.
Woo, it's been that kind of a day. All right. So those are additional ways that we want to get members involved. Some of you may have gotten an email from International, and you might also get that email from SEIU. There's an upcoming, I think it's this weekend, right? On Saturday, they have invited, they have a public service, a nationwide public service kind of conference talk. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but it's a way to kind of see what other public service employees are experiencing nationwide, so that we could maybe, partner up, get together, and make sure that we're addressing things that affect public service employees. And so they also have some correctional committees like that, like for corrections. And so we want to wrap some of our employees into that stuff. So being able to connect with things that will directly affect us in our work sites. And also, like I said, with boots on the ground in terms of resources. So those things we have spoken about, we have okayed, and we think it'll be really helpful. Obviously, we have had some, we've lost some staff, and so that will be help that will be very, very much appreciated. David, did you want to take, I know you wanted to
Yeah.
jump in.
So some of the training, or I was gonna say some of the challenges, I mean, when you're going door to door, people have dogs. People have dogs, right? So that's one. But the way, so I mean, actually, the first door that we knocked on today had their dog chime with the chain to their front porch, right? But as soon as we got close to the porch, the dog started barking, and we're like, "Hello!" These LA-fed people really provide awesome training where they're like, "That doesn't stop us." We start yelling, "Hello, hello! We're looking for Claudia. Hello!" And somebody comes out, and this lady actually put her dog into the house, and we had a conversation, a great conversation where if I think, I didn't get a member app from her because we were hitting up non-members. She works at Skiff, and I didn't get the member app from her, but I really feel positive that one more follow-up and we'll get it because she was like, yeah, I gave her the paper app and we could even do it on, on the app online. It's real quick. And then hubby showed up. She's like, I don't have the time. And then hubby showed up with lunch. So, and he's like, hey, I like your SEIU face mask. I want one. So I really think that person will get the second. Another challenge was, and this, some people were very not even wanting to open the door, not even I couldn't even hand them my business card because they didn't even want to open the door to accept it. So I would just leave it outside. But, so those are some of the challenges, but, that I think that just in organizing, right, you got to constantly touch people in order to be successful. And so I think that's what we have, the follow through. The follow-up is very important. We have their information and we'll do that. And we actually did, another door that we knocked on. It was, we were looking for the member. She was a female, and the man that answered said she wasn't there, and she wasn't going to be home, and, he wouldn't give us a time we could come back. So he did take my card. But also we did a follow-up call, and I called, we called her like 30 minutes later to see if we could circle back, and she didn't answer. So, one of the challenges, we were also at the State Building in downtown LA. And I think one of the challenges is making sure that when we get space, that it's a good space where it's accessible and easy for members to come out, not on the 13th floor of the building, but maybe in the lobby area, the big atrium lobby area where there's plenty of space. And we've had meetings there before. It's just making sure that we contact the right department, because that would have been going through DGS and not Department of Insurance, and because Department of Insurance is just a small department within the entire state building. And so if we would have gone to the building management, DGS, Department of General Services, we would have got a better space. But we improvised and worked around, and instead of staying up in there on the 13th floor, we scrambled to the lobby and we started just going up to people. Hey, what department do you work for? And a lot of the training that the Fed focused on is listening to people and what their concerns are. So one thing that just today, the person I was paired up with, she's from the Fed. She's like, instead of me saying, what are your concerns or issues with your job? It's just like, how do you feel working for the state? More general, more broadly, let them, instead of you setting up for a negative, what are your issues? That could be, kind of already signaling. So just how do you feel? How long you've been working, those are all like the typical questions, but that was one thing that did stick in my mind, that instead of using the word concerns or issues, it's like, how do you feel about it? What, tell me about your job, your normal day. And then from that, listening, and what issues can we pull from that to get them to sign up? How can we make the union be a force of good to help them address their issue in their personal life or their work, or even their work life?
Thanks, David. Bill, Irene, did you have something to add?
So,
I know there was a bargaining question.
Yeah. So to step in for a minute, and I think Irene has some input too.
No, she can't talk.
So
right
we
got you, girl. I read her
so we
list.
have Tom. We have Tom from the International, who's a manager, who will be managing some of the International's assistants with a membership drive. Tom is currently in Los Angeles on the LA CalFed recruitment program, actually making those visits and doing the exact same work that Annika's doing, so that he can personally learn about California and state employees in California, since he came here from Chicago. we have the support and the opportunity to use the International's phone banking service to reach out to low-hanging fruit. That actually costs us nothing since we already pay to the International. The next piece of the International is they have support, direct support with our comms department. So our communications people have additional resources to reach out to at the International, as well as a consultant to work on these issues. We, as a leadership team, have been assigned a contact to, as a liaison, so to speak, to both ask us questions about what we need help with and explain to us all the resources that could possibly be available that we can take advantage of to help move our organization forward. So those are the other pieces that are in place and happening right now. And I hope that helps answer your question.
Now, the last thing that I heard, Bobby, was you had a CalHR being prepared and sending out kind of what's going on, what's working, what's not. We know kind of that managers, I hate to say it, but they kind of learn how to maneuver things. So yeah, I think that's definitely on Irene's purview. Definitely something that I think she finds interesting and will address. Thumbs up. If you could email Irene, I'm sure that you guys could have a conversation about it. I didn't quite get that, Irene, but no, it's something me. Sorry. I'm not that good at reading lips, apparently. Oh, see, what was it?
Unmute me.
Unmute me. Oh, awesome. There we go.
I was telling you I can't talk because you have me muted. I've been trying to get you to unmute me.
And I'm not paying attention to my phone anymore, so that's not helpful. Huh?
Thank you to our ASL interpreters. Thank you so very much. Bobby, just to let you know, yeah, they are actually preparing. That's not something that's unusual for the state to do. They basically do sort of the same things that we do. We go out to the membership. We ask you guys, what is it that you would like to address in the next bargaining cycle? What issues do you want to bring forward? What type of language do you want to shore up, strengthen, that type of thing. And so they're actually doing their preparation for bargaining. It's not unusual. They do it each and every bargaining cycle. And we will also be doing our own preparation. And actually, we've set the statewide bargaining advisory committee meeting that's going to happen on the 14th and 15th of May. So that's our first step through. I am also meeting with the bunk chairs on April 7th. So we've got some things that we're really working on and moving through. As you know, I've been elected since August or thereabout, but unfortunately, I haven't really been able to actually get in and be involved in everything that's been happening over the last few months. So technically, I'm kind of looking at February 27, 28 to be my actual real date on the job. And so give me a little bit of time. I've been having conversations with our contracts department, with our international, with our statewide officers, Annika, David, but now our chair, Bill Hall. We're having conversations with all of the bargaining unit chairs. And so we're getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting immersed and getting caught up and brought up to speed on everything that's been going on over the last 6 to 8 months. So progress is being made. I know that Craig had asked a question earlier about telework, and I am on it. We are moving forward. I am hoping that in April that we will be able to start having some dates be set with CalHR, starting getting that going. The chairs and I will be having conversations on April 7th when we have that meeting regarding telework. And David, Annika, and Bill and I have also been actively having conversations about telework as well. So we're definitely moving there. We've heard you guys. We heard you in the last 2 calls. We've heard you on this call. We are making movement, and we will have a resolution one way or the other relatively soon, sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Miss Irene. And hi, Miss Emma. I saw she left. She was trying to give us a little show, looking all cute in the camera. Okay, so I'm actually going to make an executive decision here, and I'm going to jump to WASFI because we couldn't get him earlier, and we're almost to the end of the call. So I'm going to unmute, ask WASFI to go ahead and unmute so that he could get his question in, and then we'll go to Manuel.
Hi.
WASFI, are you there? Good. There we go.
Hi, thank you. That was my fault. I lowered my hand last time before you got to me. Yeah, I've been a union member since 2006, so 16 years since I've been working with the state. And I've always been a very strong advocate, speaking out to coworkers about the importance of being in the union because you guys fight for us, for our raises, protect us from just getting kicked to the street, protect us from getting minimum wage or crazy stuff like that happened back in the day and during the recession, things like this. But that being said, getting this email on Monday from Richard, Brown, and then wondering what the heck is going on, and then doing some research online and finding out about him going in the office and all this other crazy stuff, makes me really concerned about the strength of the union and where we're going and where we're at right now. My main concern, and I think probably the concern of a lot of my coworkers right now, is with inflation going crazy and just that being out of control has wiped out all the money that we got back last year. Got the PLP, those 2 days, got the 10%, got our little raise and all that. That's been wiped out. So I know a lot of us are really struggling, and that's one of the important things that I need to know, like, when's the next raise? When are we getting the next raise? Then after that, when's the next raise after that? Next year? I mean, I'm sitting here listening to the governor telling us how much of a surplus we have, $31 billion. That's a great opportunity for you guys to be. And the other thing, his bullet points, stepping away from politics. What the heck? Excuse me. We need to be putting money into the lobbyists so you guys can
15
step up to these politicians and tell them what's important to us and to fight for us. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. So the next raise, there should be 2%, and it comes in July. Any raises after that will need to be bargained for in this next contract. In terms of, I don't know if any of you guys wanted to jump on in to answer any of the additional questions. I think the reason that myself and the other VPs had acted was because we too were seeing, we were concerned with some of the things that we were seeing happening financially, as well as some unilateral decisions that were happening in terms of the organization moving forward. And so that's why we acted. So I would tell members to, focus on the work that needs to get done. And all of this internal politicking will work itself out. We are solvent in terms of, our finances, but we still, like Bill said earlier, are still trying to get a full picture of all of that, right? So we know we're not going away tomorrow, but we also didn't want to continue kind of down the path that we were on, because we saw that as being pretty troublesome. So like all of us, I think some of these conversations we're having are tough, but I think it behooves us to redirect it and make sure, and not redirect it because we don't want to talk about it, but we really need to focus the energy that we spend on each other internally, and we need to focus that on bad management in the state, because realistically, we are in contract negotiations. Some people would argue that we actually should have already started with our surveys in town halls, right? I think some of us right now would agree with that. So there is work to be done. As Irene stated, we are getting to it. And so I would tell them about that work, right? We are moving forward, we are getting programs started, and we look forward to getting the trust of the members again. Did I miss anything? Did anybody else want to jump on and I'm unmuting you, David. Did you get that? Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that we did, the four of us have asked that the political, or what is it, government affairs department or political department get re-engaged with, that they just start doing their work they weren't able to do before. So.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about as CIU Local 1000 sitting on the board of state council. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sure.
So One of the things that I think, and we're getting really close to time here, what I want you to recognize is that the four of us are up here tonight, and we're talking about what we're trying to do for you. We're talking about doing the work. We're not talking about or focused on Richard. Unfortunately, Mr. Brown is going to go out and create all the chaos he possibly can. And if you look at the four of us, we were working 14 to 18-hour days last week because of the chaos. And that included Sunday through Saturday. So, we don't want to talk bad. We want to talk about moving forward. So the short version to answer the question is, this goes back to circle back to, yes, relationships are important. Having the conversations are important. One of the things that's going to come to the board is getting back engaged in the one voice with SEIU State Council to expand our political power. So with that in mind, my paycheck's gotten eat up too. I get it, right? So I'm sure, or I shouldn't say I'm sure. Let me assure you, watch the work, watch what we're doing, watch what we perform. And the adults are back in the room. And honestly, David, Annika, and Irene have attested to this. Your union wasn't functioning well until they took action. And now it's about getting everything back going and back moving, re-engaged, reconnected, so that we can, as a group and as an organization and as members, can actually improve people's lives. And the number one thing I think most people want is more money in their paycheck, because everything is scary expensive. So with that said, Annika, I think we're just past the 8 o'clock, and I promise to be respectful of Lisa tonight.
So yeah, I actually just, David,
I just wanted to just say on that note, shout out to the staff that's been so helpful and putting in a lot of time as well to
our staff has been amazing. Yeah, for real. They have been amazing. All right, guys. And to our interpreters too, because you guys have been jumping on all these meetings. So thank you very much. All right, guys, we are at 8:02. We did have a hard stop time. So I want to say good night. Join us again. We will be doing this the whole month of March. See you next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Good night, everybody.